Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast here at ringbellsonline.com. Stu Allen here alongside Lee Burton as usual, and Lee, it's been a little bit of time since the last show.
Yeah, we've had a month off due to, well, let's be honest, you moved house.
It's my fault. It's my fault, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologise. We do try to at least get a show or two done a month, and we have been a little bit of time off, but there's been stuff happening in the world. We'll talk about that and so on. But let's talk about something first of all that's coming up next weekend or this coming weekend, and that is PWWA back in business down in Australia. We talked at length to Madison Eagles about that back when she was on the show. We've got another of Australia's finest with us this evening, Jessie McKay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting to Jessie. Actually, Jessie's somebody who, for the last maybe 6 to 8 months or so, we've had a lot of requests from people saying, look, when are you going to interview Jessie McKay? And we'd really like to hear what she's got to say about this and say about that. So, now's your chance to have a listen to see what we ask her and what you think of her.
Yeah, that is true, actually. We have had a lot of people requesting Jessie McKay. It's almost like she's very beautiful or something.
It might have something to do with it. I'm not totally certain. I might point that out to her just in case she hasn't noticed.
I'm sure she has. But in the meantime, while we've been gone, the website has been kept up to date with all sorts of news and reviews and so on. We're always aware that there are people who listen to the show that probably just get the shows via iTunes and maybe aren't regular visitors to the website. In saying that, this past month we've exceeded once again our unique visits and so on, which we seem to be doing every month now. It's been a massive month this month, so thank you everybody for that.
Yeah, it's been, just really appreciate your support, and we've had so much great feedback from you guys as well, and so much great support from you on Facebook and Twitter, and just talking about us and just getting our name out there. So we really appreciate it.
Yes. And let's chat about a couple of things that have happened in the last month or so. One thing I want to talk about is a certain wrestler who's left a major company and will be returning to WSU soon, and that's Cookie.
Yes.
What you think I meant someone else?
I'm not sure if there was.
But no. Becky Bayless has left TNA, and she's returning to WSU at their November show. And I wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to mention this because there's been a story that's been out there circulating in the last few days with regards to the pay for the knockouts in TNA.
This is a recurring topic.
Yeah, it's not the first time we discussed this, and I mean, we know that Karma, formerly Amazing Kong, left over money. We know that Gail Kim left over money because, well, basically they were giving as much money in one night for Jenna Maraska as she wanted for a year to be there. But we're actually getting some numbers, and the numbers are quite shocking if you think about the fact of TNA being a major player in the wrestling business. And I know that could be a bit of a joke to even say that, but the only knockouts who are getting paid a big wage are Mickie James and Christy Hemme. That's the story that we're understood to believe from these stories that have come out, and everyone else is getting paid significantly smaller.
Yeah, it's not even like it's close, because Hemme and James are supposedly, like you say, if this report is accurate, making 6 figures.
Yes, and the other knockouts are earning perhaps $600 a shot. Yeah. And there's no guaranteed contracts here as well, so if you're not booked for a show, you're not getting your payoff. And so that kind of means that if somebody works every Impact and show, every one of them through the year, they can expect to earn before tax in the region of $38,000 or so.
Now we've run some numbers about this just to because you've got extra expenses after that, like you maybe car rentals or your accommodation when you're doing the house show tours, and even just paying the tax as well on that, because that's gross.
Yeah, so there's quite a big chunk has to come out of that as well. And I mean, we haven't talked to Becky Baelish yet as far as this, but I just think it's very interesting that she's chosen to walk away from TNA, because Cookie as a character was great, but it was a character that TNA had clearly lost interest in, so she wasn't getting booked very often. Her and Robbie E often were sitting out these tapings, and if they weren't there, she wasn't earning. And I guess it got to the point where she probably thought she could earn more on the independent circuit, taking her own bookings, than she could earn for TNA. And that's just wrong.
We talked about this the other day, just in a private conversation, and the one thing that we were surprised about or sad about is the fact that some of these, not just girls, but some of the wrestlers who are part of TNA probably had to run numbers to find out whether it was more financially viable to stay on the indies than if it was to join TNA. And surely that should not even be a consideration. It should be, we're the number 2 company in America. Here's a deal that we want to offer you. It's more than you're on now. Take it. And pretty much without hesitation, you probably sign it.
Yeah, nobody runs numbers before they sign a WWE deal. I mean, I know the developmental deals are not for an awful lot of money, but people dream to get to WWE. People, I don't think, dream to get to TNA. And I think that's the thing. I think there was a big story a little while ago in women's wrestling where Sarah Del Rey had been told that she wasn't required in TNA, and the justification given, such as it was that she needed to be more like the beautiful people to get on TV.
Which is kind of silly because they already have the beautiful people.
Exactly. And a lot of people just really couldn't fathom how TNA could be so short-sighted, and again, quite frankly, I can't either. If you have an opportunity to have Sarah Del Rey, who's arguably the best woman wrestler in the world today, on your roster, why would you not want it? But Sarah Del Rey is someone who works so much that, to be honest with you, it might not be financially viable for her to work for TNA, because they would then control her outside bookings as well and take a cut. So I really think that it's a sad situation where
we have to sit down with a calculator beforehand.
Yeah, where a wrestler has to sit down and go, is it worth going to one of the big 2?
Oh yeah, it's like, all right, fair enough. You get TV exposure, for what it is. It is on cable TV
worldwide,
and worldwide as well. And it gets better numbers worldwide than it does in America, really. And you do get your name out there. You do get to travel over the world and make a bit more of a name for yourself as well doing that. And so the exposure is probably a good thing. But is the exposure worth enough to maybe sacrifice income? Is the question.
And again, the other thing, and it's not to take anything away from either of these girls, but the 2 girls that are reported to be making the most money are the former WWE girls who don't really need the exposure.
Interestingly, where does Tara fit into this?
Don't know. She wasn't one of the 2 names mentioned, so I wonder whether, I would have assumed she would have been on a similar deal to Christy and Mickey, but she wasn't mentioned, so she might be somewhere in the middle. But as far as girls who've never been in WWE or haven't ever been in the WWE system, and who are in TNA at the minute, those are the girls who I guess are hoping for exposure out of it and hoping perhaps to open an eye in WWE or something like that. I don't know.
Well, 7 of the 11 knockouts, who are, wrestlers, no, I'm not counting like valets or anything like that, but 7 of the 11 knockouts have either been part of WWE, had a developmental deal, or in the case of ODB, was working in OVW when it was, part of the WWE's farm system.
Yes, she's had a good look, basically.
Yeah, so for one reason or another, WWE's looked at them and decided, we don't want you on our roster at this point in time. So it's like, if you're doing it for extra exposure, what exposure is that?
Yeah.
Where are you looking for this to go?
Yeah.
Are you going to try and take it and maybe go back onto the indies so you can have former TNA Knockout after you name it? And if so, how much weight does that hold? Former WWE Diva, that will hold a lot of weight.
Yes. Well, as we've seen with Melina's alleged requests for booking. But I mean, yeah, it is interesting. Again, I'm thinking about probably people like a Rosita, people like a Madison Rayne, who haven't ever been in the WWE system, who are currently in TNA, who, you know, I suppose may possibly harbour thoughts of going to WWE or something like that. Again, be interesting to see at some point to get their take on that, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not Becky Bayless wants to come out and talk any more about her reasons for leaving. But I just thought it was interesting, especially in this past week with that article coming out, which outed the pay scale, so to speak.
Just on a final thought of that, I don't want to say that TNA is completely to blame for this, because they throw out a number to the girls, and the girls obviously say yes. Now, you can say no, or you can renegotiate, or say, look, this isn't enough money for me. This isn't financially worth my time. You know, you look at essentially what they do, and it is putting your body through a lot for this, and as a woman as well. Your lifespan as a wrestler isn't going to be as long as maybe the guys, for instance. And so you really should be negotiating for as much money as you could possibly get. And if they don't offer you as much money as you think you're worth, there's no reason why you have to take it.
You don't need to compromise yourself for somebody else, yeah. I mean,
do not sell yourself short.
If you believe that you're worth more, in fact, if you've got that self-belief, you probably are worth more. So yeah, it's interesting. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on the knockouts coming up over the next few months, just to see whether or not anyone else has moved to follow Becky's lead or what the deal is. But certainly an interesting story. There are stories breaking in the last few weeks as well. Mention them briefly. The Eve and Ice Ribbon shows have moved finally. They're going to be in Nottingham now and expanded to 3 shows instead of 2.
Yeah, so it's Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night.
Yes, and that's the weekend of the 8th and 9th of October.
Yeah, Eve's Championship Tournament Night 1 DVD is also available now. You can go to evewrestling.com and pick it up.
Yes, also happening on October 8th over with our friends at Femme Fatale in Montreal. They've got their next show, and they've got the return of Tiana Ringer.
Which I was quite surprised about. I mean, I know that she was there as a Femme Fatale 5.
I was surprised when I got that bit of info from backstage to hear that she had been there, because she disappeared off in 2007 to go and deal with her personal life and go to school and concentrate on that, which God bless her, smart move.
Well, it's not exactly a name that I was expecting to hear of again.
No, but when she turned up, I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if she's interested in coming back, was what I thought at the time. And lo and behold, a couple of shows later, here she is getting in the ring with Mercedes Martinez, no less.
It's not exactly a soft re-entry, is it?
No. She's yet to be determined, I think. I certainly haven't been told whether this is going to be a one-night return or whether Tiana's maybe going to work the Femme Fatale shows, which is maybe only like 3 shows a year, or whether she might be looking at a bigger return to wrestling. But it's a nice name to see back. Tiana will forever be, in my mind, as the girl that was in the first match in the first volume of Shimmer, and the first volume of Shimmer was the DVD that I watched and rewatched a billion times, and the video or the DVD that launched my love for women's wrestling, I suppose, or really, if not launched, at least sort of revived it.
Also a very good heel in the early days of Shimmer.
Yeah, and her and Chantel Taylor in that first match was massively important as far as I was concerned, because I bought that first DVD knowing literally just Beth Phoenix and Allison Danger on the show. I didn't know who these girls were, and the first show we put in, the first match is these two, and they had a good match that made sense, that had psychology, that worked. Nobody messed anything up, and at the end of it I was like, wow.
And the thing is, that's a very difficult thing to do. You've got this brand new promotion, you're the first match out there, the pressure's really on you to create a good impression.
Yeah, and they did
Not
that.
to steal the show.
No.
But you go out there and paint everything in a good light and say, this is a taste of things to come.
Yeah. And it's funny as well, I mean, she's actually been gone from the wrestling business longer than she was in it.
That's a fair point, actually. Yes,
she started in 2004, got out in early 2007, and she's been gone for over 4 years. So her actual wrestling career didn't last as long as she's been gone. So,
but it might be quite good now that she's back, because maybe you get success quite young, and maybe you don't appreciate it as much, and now she can come back and do it because she wants to, as opposed to maybe feeling like it was an obligation.
Yeah, fair point. So I'm really interested in that. I'm going to be interested to find out more about Tiana Ringer, and if you're able to get along to Femme Fatale. I keep saying this, but I need to get to Montreal at some point to go to one of their shows.
I was just not to make me sound like I'm hanging around with wrestlers or anything like that, but Lou Fister said you should come to Montreal. Yeah. I was like, Christ, yes. This has to be on the cards at some point to go to a Femme Fatale show, because every time we hear reports from it, people just say it's great, you should go.
Yeah.
It's like, trying, dude.
Yeah, really, we're trying our best. It'll happen. I'm fairly convinced that it must happen in 2012. So we shall see.
Also coming up is October 1st and 2nd is Shimmer, the volumes 41 to 44 tapings. I know it was mentioned earlier on this month, but if you didn't know about it, Kana is coming over from Japan. Also Yumioka is coming over.
Yes, Yumioka, a big surprise for a lot of people. People who, I don't think people were necessarily expecting her. So she'd be an interesting one. And the interesting thing is that she often teams in Japan with Mizaki Iwahata in Wave as Black Dahlia. So, we'll see what happens as far as...
Also some other Shimmer wrestlers who are part of Black Dahlia. Ayumi's alter ego, Ayumi, with the mask.
Yeah,
she's part of it. Ayako Hamada is also now part of Black Dahlia as a heel.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily expect a Wave storyline to cross over into Shimmer by any means, but it'd be kind of cool if it happened.
Yeah, just sticking with Japan as well slightly, because we're now Ice Ribbon fans.
Yes, we are.
And as part of Ice Ribbon, we are big Chi Tamiya fans.
We are Team Tamiya.
Well, we were Team Tamiya.
Yes, Chi Tamiya is leaving Ice Ribbon. In fact, Makoto has just left. She's joined Smash. I know she's got a lot of aspirations to be a WWE diva, and I guess she sees this as being her next step on that road. I'm not sure what Chi's reason is, but she's decided to go freelance as well. I assume she'll still continue to work select Ice Ribbon shows, but I think she's going to try and look to get herself out there a lot more.
Well, she's 20 years old now, so she's maybe looking to expand her horizons a bit. So she's also going to be changing her name from Chi Tamiya to Micro, which actually is a pretty fair enough name when you consider that she's 4'8".
Yes.
Imagine that for a second, 4'8".
She is a small human being. Speaking of Ice Ribbon, before we move on to our guest this evening, you talked to her recently as well, but April Davids was recently at Ice Ribbon, and I think suffice to say, loved it.
Yes, she went down pretty well. You can hear a bit about it on the Fight Like a Girl interview I did with her earlier on this month, and she just had a great time, and she's looking to go back hopefully before the end of the year. But I think Japan made a very, very big impression on her life.
Yes, I think that's a very fair thing to say. I think the sooner she can get back, the happier she will be. So I wish her all the best for that. But that's all stuff coming up in the medium term. The immediate is next weekend at the Masonic Centre in Liverpool, in New South Wales, in Australia. PWWA is back in action, headlined with a triple threat match for the Shimmer Championship between Madison Eagles, Nicole Matthews, and Jessie McKay. And, as we said earlier on, we've got Jessie due to come on the show momentarily to talk about that. Anything you want to mention about the show before we bring her up?
Just that, for everybody who's been listening and has been demanding, I say demanding, that's probably a bit harsh, been requesting Jessie McKay to be on here. We hope that we're going to ask the right questions for her, and we hope that that, we're able to give you something which gives you a little bit more insight into everybody's favourite girlfriend. So sit back and enjoy.
Okay, we are back with our guests for the show. We've all put on our good shirts and a little splash of cologne because we are here with everybody's favourite girlfriend, Jessie McKay.
Hi guys, how you going?
Not bad, thank you, not bad. It's been tough getting here, but we're here now. In fact, just when I mentioned that, I hadn't sort of particularly intended even to ask that, but your curious nickname, everybody's favourite girlfriend, was that your creation or was that given to you?
It was actually kind of given to me. I was doing a couple of wrestling shows in Queensland, and one of my mates up there just, I don't know how he even thought of it, but he's just like, oh, you're everybody's favourite girlfriend. Just in, simple conversation, and it just stuck, and then they just started announcing me as it, and then I was like, hang on, I actually like the way that sounds. So I ripped it off him, and I've been using it ever since.
Very nice.
The sign of a good wrestler, to steal things from somebody else.
Exactly.
So the main reason we got you on the show, apart from, we've got loads of other stuff to talk to you about, is because we've got the upcoming PWWA show, September 3rd, at the Liverpool Masonic Centre. And we thought we'd chat to you about that because you've got a big opportunity in the main event. It's going to be a triple threat match with yourself, Madison Eagles, and Nicole Matthews for the Shimmer Championship.
It's going to be a massive match.
Indeed so, and Madison's now back in Australia as well. What does that mean to have her back after her long sort of time over in America?
I like having her back. Just because, she trained me and she's the reason why I'm actually doing this interview in the first place. She's the reason why I got the opportunity to go overseas. So I always like having her back. Not to mention she's one of my closest friends.
I guess it's the curious thing about this match that we're talking about here, in that as far as knowledge goes, if you want to go as far as knowledge of both wrestlers is concerned, you would have an advantage with this in the fact that you've wrestled Madison a million times, you've teamed with Madison a million times, you've got this program which you've had with Nicole Matthews and Shimmer as well. As far as, if you wanted to look at it from a sort of tactical point of view, you're probably the most prepared out of all three of the women. Yeah,
I definitely think so. I mean, as you said, I've wrestled Madison, I've lost count. It's been so many times, and tagged with her. And then Nicole, I've wrestled her a bunch of times in Shimmer, and I think I know both of them probably the best.
You've also shared alcoholic beverages with Nicole, as you may have noticed from our YouTube account.
Yes, definitely, and she's a good drinker. She's better than me.
See, is this a thing that because of the fact you might be quite sort of, what's the best way? Have a good relationship outside of the ring, that it helps to make a good relationship inside the ring, both with Nicole and with Madison?
Yeah, it makes the world's difference. It's so much easier to plan out an amazing match when you actually like the person. It's so much easier, especially with Nicole. Just recently with our Shimmer matches, we'll be organising stuff and we just look at each other and we go, oh, how about this? And we're thinking of the exact same spot, and it's really amazing. We just think really well, and I'm really happy that happens. And then Madison I've known for almost 5 years now, so I just know what she's like and she knows what I like.
We wrestled Nicole in a number of situations. We're going to talk about Shimmer a bit more in depth a bit later on, but just talking about the recent program that you've had with Nicole, you've wrestled each other in numerous situations, different kind of stipulations, singles matches, tag matches. Is it a sort of welcome challenge to be able to go out there and think, right, we've got to put on a different match to the match we put on last time?
Yeah, what match was it? We had to do a 20-minute match, I'm pretty sure, at one of the earlier volumes. And we were pumped up for that. We're like, okay, we can do this. Had an awesome match. And then we hear, oh, we're going to give you a 2 out of 3/4 match. And they wanted it to go for half an hour. And me and Nicole were standing right next to each other. I looked at her and I go, fuck, what are we going to do for half an hour? We've already wrestled each other so many times, but I think that's good. The stipulation gives it something different so we can work with that. And it turned out to be one of my best matches I've ever had.
Well, let's switch back a little bit to the very beginning. It's hard to believe that you at I believe it was 10 you started watching wrestling. Is that right?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Which is 1999.
Yes.
I mean, that's sickening, quite frankly. Stuart, what about you?
That makes me feel so old, it's not even funny.
It really does. I just started university and you're sitting there watching wrestling at 10 years old thinking, oh, there's The Rock.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, man, I was the biggest, nerd back then. Used to walk around with my Rock shirts, and I have, the posters all over my room, massive frames. I've got, 6 figurines of him. It was insane.
Wow. I heard a story, or I read a story in one of your interviews, I think, where you were talking about how you got into wrestling, where you said it was your brother that had sort of sat you down one day to watch a show, and that hooked you, one of the old pay-per-views back in the day. Do you remember which one it was?
It was, oh gosh, it wasn't a Mania or anything. I just know that Jericho was on it, because Jericho was one of my brother's favorite.
That's late 99 then?
Yeah, it definitely, and it was old, with this massive ponytail up the top and the shiny pants and everything. And all I remember was, my brother used to pack out our lounge room downstairs with all his friends and turn up the volume so loud. And this is on a school day. And I used to just, after school come back and they're still watching it, and they used to be making so much noise. And I walked in one time and saw them all there, and my brother's like, oh, just go make a sign or something. So I came back with the sign, not knowing what the hell they were watching, and I wrote Jericho 316, and I gave them to it. Yeah, and they all, pissed themselves laughing, and then my brother got a chair and goes, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. Sat me down right in front of it, and that was the first pay-per-view I watched. I can't remember, I don't remember it was such a long time ago, but... And ever since then, that's the first time I got hooked.
So essentially it was a swing and a miss which got you into wrestling then?
Exactly, it was.
Did you just essentially ignore wrestling then for the longest time if your brother was a big fan? Did you just he's watching wrestling, I'm going to go in the other room and do something else? Is that... And then eventually it was a case of you can't beat him, join him?
A little bit. I know, I never really realized that he was watching it until... That was probably about the 3rd or 4th time that the lounge room was surprisingly filled. And then I stumbled my way in, and that's the time that I got hooked.
The thing about it is, back in 1999, you could pack your lounge room out for WWE pay-per-views. I don't think you could do that now.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I could even pack my closet out for a WWE pay-per-view, but there we go.
Are you trying to say you're in the closet?
Let's just move on before danger gets hold of this.
Let's get on then. All right then. So from there then you did end up learning to wrestle under Madison Eagles, who was your initial trainer. Is that right? Was she the first person you went to?
Yeah. It's a funny story actually. My brother is the same age as Doug and Alex Ryan. So Madison and Ryan Eagles. And I told my brother, I'm like, look, I really want to start training. Do you know any of your friends that are actually wrestlers? And he knew a few, but obviously he trusted Doug the most. So he got in contact with Doug, who's obviously married to Alex, and they had been trying to start an academy, and I was the first person to join up that had no wrestling experience, nothing. And I started training there when I was 17. And they were the first people that I started training with, first people I started doing shows with, and I'm really fortunate about that because there is a lot of crap in Australia, and I just hate to think that if I started somewhere else, I'd just be absolute shit.
You'd be a shit arse.
Yeah, nobody wants to be a shit arse. The thing is, though, you say that you had no wrestling experience, but it wasn't like you weren't athletic because you play basketball.
I do, yes. I actually have my grand final today.
Ooh, good luck for that.
Yeah, I've been playing ever since I was 6. So it's always been in the family. My parents played, my brother played, my sister played. I've always just been involved in basketball, before wrestling. So I was athletic and, I used to do running and I played hockey and I played touch footy. I've always been into sport, a massive tomboy. But basketball was my true sport that I actually loved. So I guess it helped, running, jumping, I was good at that, but yeah.
You would think that, but, and this is before your time, but someone else will get a kick out of this reference, but, El Gigante used to be a basketball player and it didn't help him.
I've had a kick.
So, that's a reference from before your time as a wrestling fan, but I'm sure,
Yeah.
someone Someone will.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, as far as basketball, I didn't imagine there'd be that much of a basketball scene in Australia. You don't necessarily hear that much about it.
Yeah, I mean, because I love watching the NBA. So when you watch the NBA and then you look at Australian basketball, it kind of shits all over it. But at the moment, I'm playing in the ABA League, which is the league under the WNBL. So it's my first year in that league, and grand final today. I'm really excited. We're defending champions, so I'm really hoping that we win today.
Nice.
What's your position?
I'm shooting guard.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I just basically run the whole game and shoot.
See, if nobody knows much about basketball right now, they're just glazing over completely. Let's swing it back to wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. You when did you actually eventually debut in PWA? Because PWA was the first place you worked, wasn't it?
It was. It was my 18th birthday. That's how I remember it. 23rd of June 2007 was my first match. It was a triple threat. It was me versus an Australian girl, Aurora, versus Madison Eagles. Triple threat, and I actually won.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very good.
I did notice, I think, from looking at one of the results sites for yourself that you'd done a couple of things for PWA before that, including a bikini contest and some sort of lingerie thing as well, which I don't know, I somehow got a kick out of. I think it's quite funny to think of a Shimmer wrestler doing lingerie contests. But
at 17.
At 17, no less.
At 17, yeah. Because they had, the first two shows I did the bikini and then lingerie, and then the third show I actually debuted. But I was just so excited. I'm going to be in a wrestling ring. Oh yeah, I'll wear my bikini, no worries. But it was all fun. There was no seedy people there or anything, so it's okay.
Well, I've got to ask about that then. 17 years old, wearing a bikini, your brothers are wrestling fans. Chances are that were they there?
Oh, all my family was there. Yeah, I had about 35 people in the crowd.
So I've got to ask about that then. Did you have any kind of self-conscious feelings like, oh my God, it's like, this is, or the brothers maybe sitting there thinking, this is our fault. Our little sister's up there now in her undies.
Oh, the only thing I could hear, I walked out, and obviously, what song were they playing? They were playing Cherry Pie. For the bikini one.
A good song.
Yeah, so I'm like flicking my hair, take off the robe, and all I can hear is my mum laughing her head off over everybody in the crowd, and then everybody just, staring, and I think they took it well, like they were laughing about it. It wasn't like, I was trying to be like a little sexy porn star or anything, but it was pretty awkward, I have to admit.
Well, on that thread, it's something that we did want to ask, because I don't know if you've noticed, but you're quite pretty. And in that kind of situation, is it quite difficult to have, because people would see you, might maybe have a perception of you, and then they see you wrestling that you've got to. Do you feel like it's more difficult to maybe change somebody's perception? Say, look, I'm taking this seriously, and I'm out here to take bumps and bruises, and I don't mind getting hit in the face and all that kind of stuff. Is it difficult to be able to get people into that? And do they find it a bit weird that you as an attractive woman would want to go down this avenue?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whenever I tell somebody that I do professional wrestling, the first thing they say, "Oh, mud wrestling," and I just want to punch them in the face. But it is pretty hard just because, like, my friends and family have been really good, but people that don't know me and that don't know that I was a massive fan, find it hard to believe that I would want to put my body through that, I guess. But yeah, it's just, it's weird trying to, I don't know, tell people that I'm actually doing it as a career and not just as like a hobby or a sport or anything.
Do they sort of turn their noses up at you a little bit?
No, I just punch them in the face, walk away if they do that.
There's a lot of face punching that goes on in Australia.
Yeah, it's kind of our thing.
It's a violent community, clearly.
Yeah, face, throat, balls, whatever.
You wake up, have 28 cans of beer, and then go off to work. I mean, this is a nation that's built on beer.
Our beer is stronger than anybody's in the world, so that's why.
So in America, it'd be 50 beers.
Exactly. It'd be 50.
Speaking of America, nice segue. The first time we would have seen you would have been in late 2008 when you came over for a tour of the US at the time. We would have seen you at Shimmer at the time, teaming with Madison as part of the Pink Eagles. You actually
Pink Ladies, dude.
Pink
Ladies.
Yeah, Pink Ladies, yeah. Strange slip.
Although I like Pink Eagles, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, no, fine. The Pink Ladies. You actually ended up working for a whole bunch of promotions while you were here that first time, including places like Chikara, Jersey All Pro, Ring of Honor, a bunch of different places. You were literally just a smidgen over your first year in the business. Must have been a heck of an experience.
I was so inexperienced back then, and I could not believe that I was standing where I was. But I have to admit, I never watched the indie scene, so this is really kind of embarrassing. But I didn't know who anyone was when I went over there.
Did you shake everybody's hand, though?
I was so nice because Alex and Doug, they taught me that. That was the first thing they ever said to me. You have to go in, you shake everybody's hand no matter who they are. And I really took that on board because it's respectful, and I didn't want to seem like a massive bitch. But I grew up watching only WWE. I never knew what Ring of Honor was. I never knew what Chikara was. I never knew what CCW was. I didn't watch any of that. So when I rock up to a Ring of Honor show, and this is a really embarrassing story, I went up to the first person that I saw, and I said, "Hey, how you going? I'm Jesse McKay." And he goes, "Oh, hey, I'm Brian Danielson. How you going?" And I had no idea who he was.
Tremendous.
And now he's on TV, massive star and everything. And I feel like I look at it now and I'm like, man, I was so stupid. Why didn't I watch their companies and a couple of their DVDs? But I had no idea who anybody was.
Do you know, that might actually work to your advantage.
Yeah, because then I don't get starstruck.
Yeah, you just go in there and you take people as they come. You have no preconceptions of anybody, and their first impression is the first time you meet them, as opposed to maybe having an idea of what they're like. A bit like Celebrity Big Brother, but that's another story.
Good Lord.
Wait, isn't Tara Reid on that?
Yes. Yeah, she's on so many drugs.
Oh, so many drugs.
God bless her, but she's so many drugs. What was your favourite memories then of that first trip? You sort of saying it was all such a big thing and you didn't know who everybody was. Is there anything you took away from that first trip particularly when you thought, oh, okay? I got the chance to train at Ring of Honor, which was amazing because obviously, Daisy Hayes was there. So I really liked training over there just because it's so different to Australia. And also backstage is a lot different to Australia. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit politics over here. But in America, but in America, it really is everyone's like one big family. And I know that gets thrown around a lot, but I always just felt welcomed backstage. And so I really tried to, just take that away from it. My biggest memory of that trip was probably the Ring of Honor show, just because I walked out with, I think, the late Larry Sweeney and when I had the little squash match with Sarah Del Rey, and I walked out and it was just packed. Like, that was the most amount of people I've ever seen at a wrestling show. So I walked out and I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? Freaking out a bit. But that was probably like just the best memory that I have because I really knew that that's what I wanted to do then. Do you get freaked out easily as far as wrestling? You sort of saying about how you and Nicole had a little moment and so on, or are you the sort of person who just sort of gets down to it and it's like, well, it'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't really worry much. I mean, I don't even get nervous nowadays, to be honest. Like, I used to get so nervous before I used to go out for a match, but now it's so familiar, and when you're with great people like Nicole, the nerves just fade away now.
So is it easier then with people who you're familiar with? Because maybe if you're going out there, especially on this first US tour, a lot of the people who you might be wrestling for the first time, for instance. Do you get that kind of feeling still if it's maybe a first time opponent rather than somebody who you've been in the ring with on a number of occasions? I
actually like wrestling people that I don't know, just because it's something different. Like, I've been wrestling the same people, like the same great people over and over again, but it's always like just something refreshing when you can go and not know somebody and not know their moves or, their ring structure or anything and just go out and have a have a really good match. I like that still.
Well, you and Madison sort of ushered in a whole sort of raft of Australians all coming across to America then with Tennille and Kelly Skater as well. I think a lot of people sort of got to know them pretty well. As far as Australia is concerned, are there other untapped talents over there that people don't know a lot about that should know a lot about?
There are, but they're very limited. There's probably, I don't even know how many there are. There are a bunch, like probably a handful of really good girls, that take care of themselves, that train, that want to be good wrestlers. And they're all going to be on the PWWA show. So anybody that's not on that show, you can just forget about. There are a lot of shitty girls that, train like once a year and think that they're wrestlers and just, a lot of bullshit.
Well, there is we do see some other promotions which have women's matches on, and they're usually featuring female wrestlers who aren't part of PWA or PWWA. Is it there I don't know if it's a sort of rivalry or maybe a hierarchy or something like that, but is there something that says, look, these are the girls who sort of maybe more like weekend warriors and aren't the ones who take it as seriously as us?
Yeah, that's the good thing about PWWA. Everybody in Australia knows that female company is the best and only female company in Australia, and that all the good girls want to work for that show. So when you go to one of those wrestling shows, you know that they're going to be the best female wrestlers in the country, and New Zealand. We've got girls coming from New Zealand for this show. So, I guess that, there are some other girls that aren't in the company that have tried to get in. But yeah, there's no rivalry just because, you watch one of our matches, you watch one of their matches, you can kind of figure it out for yourself.
So out of the ones who are going to be at PWWA, I guess some of the ones which might be at the level which you think, they could go abroad, or they could make a name for themselves in other countries. Who are we talking about here?
Definitely Jessie McKay. Yeah, she's a good friend of mine. She's been wrestling longer than me, actually. But she's a very sweet girl. She loves wrestling, has great gear, trains regularly, takes it seriously just like us. So I'd actually like to see her overseas. I think she'd do well.
Okay. You're going to try and make Dave Brazak spend even more money, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe.
But another good segue there. Speaking of Dave Prazak and your American tours, it kind of culminated with your debut in Shimmer, right? In starting off in the tag team gauntlet as part of the Pink Ladies. Tell us a bit about Shimmer, because you talked about Ring of Honor and how there was so many people there that you didn't even know, and Shimmer's a more intimate setting and has fewer people there, but does have a reputation for being a prestigious female wrestling company. Did that sort of weigh on your mind before you came, or was it a case like with the other indies that you didn't really know about them that much?
I didn't really know about them that much. I knew that they were an all-women's company and that they were, pretty high up there in the indie scene. That's all I knew. And I knew some of the names just from the other shows that we had been doing in the training. So I knew a couple, but yeah, the first match was obviously the tag gauntlet, and I have to say that was the most nervous I have ever been for a wrestling match. I could not believe how nervous I was, and it was probably my worst match that I've ever had. I was so nervous, and I remember in the match I was falling over my feet, and I hate watching that match because I'm it was such a bad impression. I thought I didn't really show what I could do, and I dreaded it. And then we had our second match against, was it The Experience?
It was.
Yeah. Lexi, who I absolutely love. She's like mother hen. Everybody goes to Lexi. I absolutely love her. And Malaya Hosaka, who's exactly the same. That was a better match. I was much happier with that one, but I don't know. I watched that back then and I was I was so inexperienced. And I really had so much more to learn, but I'm so thankful that Dave, decided to invite me back, because that's when I really started to train more and really wanted to, learn more and get better.
You sound like you sometimes quite harsh on yourself, and also, or is it a case that you're realistic? If you think that something's not good, then it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, my matches were shit. Seriously, the first two Shimmer matches I had were absolute shit. When you look around and you've got people like, I'm not sure if Sarah Stock was on that volume, but people like Sarah Stock, Daisy Hayes, Mercedes Martinez, Sarah Del Rey, Mischief, and you look at their matches, and then I watched mine and I was like, why isn't mine like that? Like, it was just so bad. So I was like, I want to get to the level where these girls are at. So that's why I just put in the hard work.
If you're interested in seeing what Jessie thinks was a bad match, then Volume 21 of Shimmer is still available for purchase.
And it was just me. It wasn't anybody else in the match. It was just me that kept stuffing up.
Wow. The question I want to move on to, just talking about Shimmer, and we've already talked about the feud that you had with Nicole, and we talked about this actually with Nicole, about the sort of the whole point of the feud, and she was accusing you of being a kind of a wannabe WWE diva. You wanted to be sexy, smart, and powerful, while she was a professional wrestler, and it beggars the question, why haven't WWE signed you yet? Have you looked into that? Is it something you're interested in?
It's definitely something I'm interested in. My goal is to get signed in the next 2 years. That's what I'm aiming for. I have looked into it, like everybody in America probably has. I've sent in packages, only one. Obviously I haven't heard anything back.
Was that Volume 21 match on there, by the way?
No, it wasn't. It was appearance. But I've been looking for the tryouts, and I'm keeping my eye open. I'm really excited about next year. I really feel like next year's going to be my year. So nice. I'm just going to wait till then and really push for it and really go for it. That's ultimately what I want to do.
Have you ever had you haven't actually had an official tryout, have you?
I've never had a tryout, no.
Mm-hmm. What is the process for it then? Do you just make yourself a tape and send it to them? Do you inquire and say, look, who do I need to send this to? Or you just sort of write, WWE Stamford, Connecticut on it and hope it gets there?
Well, that's what I did the first time. But it's so, I don't even know if they watch that stuff. They probably just chuck it straight in the bin. But the actual tryouts that they do, I'm pretty sure that you send a package in and then they approve it for a tryout. Mm-hmm. And then you make your way, obviously, to FCW for the tryout camp. I think it goes for 2 or 3 days. And then after that, they either say, okay, thanks for coming, or sign you a contract.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Have you talked to anybody else about this then, about how you do it? Because obviously, Serena Deeb's, who's been in WWE, come out to WWE, has she maybe got some tips on how to get their attention?
No, to be honest, I haven't asked her. I asked Tennille after she was signed, but she did the tryout, and that's what she did, and it obviously worked out great for her. So, just because I'm not based in America, I think the tryout's just going to be my best bet, because I don't live in America. It's just so hard for me to get recognized the same way as if you lived in America.
Sure. And WWE haven't ran in Australia for a while, have they?
They were actually here in August.
See, that might be your other bet, is when they run over there to try and get some sort of look before the shows. I know that's what a bunch of the British guys and girls do when they come over here as well. So there are always options
I've heard about that.
But so WWE would be the goal then, yeah. Yeah,
definitely. That's where I want to be.
Okay. This is an interesting question, because I'll just come out and ask it. If we know what WWE are looking for in their woman, and we know that Tennille, for example, changed her look pretty much entirely to get noticed and get signed. Is that something that you'd be willing to do? Would you be willing to go and change yourself up, whether that be changing your hair color or changing your body as far as cosmetic surgery or anything like that's concerned? Would you be willing to do stuff like that if it meant helping your cause as far as WWE?
Yeah, that stuff doesn't really bother me. If changing a hair color, you can change it back. Cosmetic surgery, I would never do anything to my face. But, other body parts, I'm always open to it. The way I think about it, as long as I'm doing it for me and not somebody else, then I'm definitely open to it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
In that sense, then, would you do it maybe if they said, look, if you went to a trial and says, look, this is what we like about you, this is what we think you should work on, and maybe your look is something you could work on. Would this be something that you go away and maybe do it off your own dime and have cosmetic surgery, or would you say, look, if you want me to do this, sign me and pay for it for me?
I don't know.
I'm
not sure as a potential signee you'd be in a position to really make that demand. That's the thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I think there's a possibility that if you do get signed and they say, look, we'd like you to, to come out and say, if you'd like to have bigger boobs, and they say it might help your chances to get onto the full TV, would you be willing to do it? It's not something you say outright as a condition of your contract or anything like that.
No.
But if they require it.
Yeah, if they suggested it to you during your developmental period, would you rather it happen that way?
Yeah, I'd definitely be open to it. I mean, obviously there'd be some conditions that I'd want to choose myself, i.e. the size.
Yeah.
But that's something I've actually always thought about for myself, not for wrestling wise. It's always been in the back of my head. So that to me isn't really a big issue. I'm open for it.
It's funny, as far as WWE is concerned, it's something that, multiple people we've mentioned it between ourselves and other people have mentioned it as well. But I'm just going to mention, see if you've ever thought about it, but a lot of people do sort of think of you as like an Australian Bella twin. You could be like the Australian Bella triplet.
The Bella triplet.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could be the one that was separated at birth, went to Australia, and now came back.
Australia, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's already there. The stories write themselves.
Yeah, I get why people say that because, both got long dark hair, same height basically, same skin color. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool, I guess.
It just seems to me. I mean, that's just me. But I'm far from the only person that's mentioned that. But I just think it's an interesting idea. John Laurinaitis, if you're listening to the show, and we know you do,
of course he does.
Just put that in your notebook, okay?
This is something else, though. Is that we've talked about WWE, but I guess this is more of a hypothetical question than anything else. But do you look at TNA and think, I wonder what it would be like to work there?
I watch TNA. I think, all the girls there are great. Obviously great wrestlers. They're all successful and doing what they love, which is awesome. I mean, I don't know. I've just because I grew up watching WWE, I've always just been inspired to go there. But TNA is still a great company. I'm not gonna shit all over that or anything.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. Here's us talking now about you, wanting to get signed to WWE, and obviously you've wrestled internationally and so on. What does your brother think now?
He actually stopped watching it.
Did he? Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Right when I started training, he actually stopped watching it.
So shit.
I guess,
are these two things linked?
I guess it's with some people, they watch it when they're teenagers and then, they grow up and they don't want to watch it anymore, or you're still a hardcore fan when you grow up. He just decided to stop watching it. I mean, he still supports me. We still watch, a Mania match every year or just to keep him in the loop. But yeah, he doesn't have an interest for it anymore.
Wow. I kind of thought it'd be, he must be awfully proud of his. I'm sure he is proud of you, but if he'd maintained his wrestling fandom all these years, it would have been even more amazing to have his sister try it for WWE. But fair enough.
Yeah. If I ever get there, I know that he'll be absolutely amazing.
He'll start watching again then. Yeah.
Oh, he bloody better.
Exactly. The only other thing, I suppose, that potentially hinders you being signed is the fact that they have recently signed 2 Australian girls already. Whether they need or want a third one is possibly the issue. What are your thoughts or feelings about the 2 who have been signed?
Well, Tennille, like, to be honest, I was happy for her. I mean, there's always going to be that jealousy, just because, you know, she got what I wanted, but, you know, she worked hard for that, you know. In my opinion, she did what she had to get a contract, and that's great, you know. She actually got one. I think that's amazing. So good for her. You know, I'm actually friends with her, and I've spoken to her, you know, in the past couple of months, and all the things with her shoulder surgery and everything. So I hope she, you know, gets better and succeeds in that aspect of her life. I hope to see her there as well. Mm-hmm. The other Australian, I've actually never even heard of her. I think somebody told me that she had one wrestling match in Queensland and then moved to Canada. So I never even knew who she was. I've never seen her before. I've never even heard of her. So I actually don't know what to say about that.
Fair enough.
Well, given the fact that, you know, doesn't sound like she's wrestled that much, what's your feelings on that? I know when we spoke to Nicole, it annoyed her, the fact that you know, I think it.
She wasn't a fan of Irina. Let's put it like that.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's a bit frustrating just because there are so many girls out there that want that contract so bad and that train for it and, you know, live by it, excuse me, and really want to get to that point. I don't know. I don't know what to say just because I never met her. Like, I don't know what she's like, if she, you know, just wants to be famous or if she actually just loves the industry. So I can't make that judgment on her.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's probably also comparable to some of the girls who were on Tough Enough. I don't know if you got a chance to see any of the latest Tough Enough season, but
I did. I watched the whole season.
Ah, okay. So you look at some of the girls, like for example, Arian Andrew, who got signed, and you know she was on Tough Enough for one episode, and then tweeted that she'd been given a contract anyway. And I don't know if she removed that tweet, but she did end up in FCW anyway. Do you think sometimes it's just a case of if you look right, you're in?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they can teach you how to wrestle, but they can't change your looks, in my opinion. Like that's probably what they look for, you know. Doesn't always work out for them that way, but yeah, I mean that's kind of annoying just because I don't know, when you see girls, you can tell he wants to really be there and wrestle, and you can tell he just wants to be on TV. So that's kind of annoying.
Well, if it is based on looks to a certain extent, then surely you must be in with a decent shot.
Oh, if I put my face on, a lot of makeup, maybe I stand a chance.
Okay. Let's change it up a little bit here. I got something else I want to bring up here. It was something that I didn't actually know until Lee pointed out to me last week, and that was that you had a little, or at least you've done it once, at least a little sideline in acting.
Oh, I did, yes.
Yes, for a movie called Mikey's Extreme Romance.
Yeah, I was. I was actually doing a wrestling show in Newcastle, and we were featured in the newspaper down there. And then I received a phone call from the producer and director that saw the ad in the newspaper and said, "Look, I've got this movie. Can I send you the script?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I'll read it." You know, completely over the moon. Didn't think in a million years that he'd actually, you know, want me to star in it. It was the lead female role that he was sending me because I don't know what the hell I'm doing in acting. I've never done any classes, never done anything like that. But I thought, hey, you know, we act in the wrestling ring, so I'll just give it a go. Read the script. He didn't tell me what type of movie it was. So right. I read the script and I was laughing. But then I was like, wait, am I supposed to be laughing? Is it supposed to be a comedy, or am I just like being a bitch right now and laughing at his script? So he's like, yeah, it's a comedy, blah, blah, blah. So we arranged a couple of, like acting sessions, casting calls, if you want to call them. And he said that they went great. I didn't know if he was lying to me or not. And then probably about 2 months later, he offered the role to me. And I accepted, and then we filmed it, probably like a year and a half ago, we filmed it, in Newcastle, and, it got first prize in a American film festival, I think about 6 months ago.
For anyone who isn't aware of what Mikey's extreme romance is about, it's described as the video diary of a stalker told as a love story. So this is a guy who's essentially following your character around and breaking into your house and doing random acts of kindness and things like that. And pretty much, essentially what a stalker would do. Really sort of creepy sort of thing, but it's played with the fact that he really, really does love you.
Yeah, the tagline.
You just don't have it yet.
The tagline is, it's not stalking, it's extreme romance.
Yeah, it was really funny. Like, not only would he stalk me, but he would, it's kind of like the Big Brother sense where he planted video cameras in, like, my lounge room, kitchen, bedroom and all that, and he'd watch them on his monitors to see what I was doing. So it was really funny. It was a good experience. I liked it.
So you have to play that sort of oblivious character. So you got cameras on cameras watching you.
Yeah.
How easy or how difficult was it to be able to play that sort of character where you think, I've just got to be normal and essentially not act?
Exactly, which I think that's why he chose me, because I didn't have any acting experience. I wasn't trying to act in the movie. I was just like, natural. He's just like, okay, I just want you to sit here. Yeah, he's just like, I just want you to sit here, have a conversation with this guy, walk over here and do that. And I'd be like, okay, I'll do that. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but I did it. And then they'd go, okay, great, next one, we'll move on. So I think that's why he cast me in that role.
The thing is, though, this film's had a bit of controversy as well. I've got an article sitting here from the Newcastle Herald from a women's refuge, which says that it's a little bit, it sort of blurs the lines on the invasion of somebody's privacy compared to the way that it's centered as being a comedy. Did you ever feel like that it might be maybe taken the wrong way by people?
I think it could be taken the wrong way, but I mean, it's supposed to be a fun movie. It's not supposed to be like a stalkerish film. So I can get why people would say that, but it's a comedy. Like, and when we had the test screenings, people were laughing. They weren't taking it harshly or too seriously. So I didn't even know that article existed, actually. So
I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny about it, and obviously they do a great job, but I'm almost certain that's probably a complaint by someone who hasn't seen the movie.
Well, it is dated the 26th of October 2010. So the film wouldn't have even been out by that point, I don't believe.
There you go.
Yeah, it hasn't been released on DVD or anything yet, so right. I don't know how that's
that's a complaint by someone who's never seen the movie. I think that probably happens quite a lot. The follow-up question I want to ask about this is, do you have any extreme romance stories to share with us? Because you've got to have had some extreme romancers.
Yeah, I have. Oh God, which one should I tell you?
The scariest one.
Okay, it's been pretty like Shimmer fans. Do you want to know Shimmer fans or no?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, okay.
Because we might have heard of them.
Yeah, you probably know them. They've always been fine face to face, but I had one fan who will remain anonymous.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, message me on my worker Facebook page and said that he had just broken up with his girlfriend for me and that he was intending to leave America and move to Sydney to be with me and that we were going to get married.
That is extreme romance.
Yeah, and I had never spoken to him before.
I thought I deleted that message.
I thought it was you.
I have many Facebook accounts.
Wow.
That's just, yeah, I got that and, I don't know.
So did you see him again? Did you see him again face to face? What happened?
I actually did.
Oh, wow. Tell us how that went.
I just ignored it, because I don't know if those people are, special or not. So I just leave it and just laugh it off because,
See, part of me wishes you'd said to him, so where were you? I was waiting for you. I was all dressed up in my dress and you never came. That's us finished.
No, because they would have. He would have probably, grabbed me and put me in a bag or something.
Burlap sack, I think, is the the weapon of choice for the kidnapper. Wow.
Stu, you seem to know a little bit too much about this. You probably tell me now that you got like reams of gaffer tape in your place or something. Because you never know.
You never know. You never know when you have to restrain someone. But anyway,
we're going to get letters.
Let's go back again then. Let's get back to wrestling. Let's get back on track before we finish up. And let's keep talking about the scene in Australia. Because again, I think there's a lot of people who don't know a lot about it. For people who haven't seen PWWA, there's a couple of DVDs out that can be purchased. Lee, you want to run past those quickly, what they are?
Yeah, there's the PWWA Volume 1, which is there's quite a lot of you on there, quite frankly.
There is.
Yeah, there is. I think Madison tried to, each volume would be featuring a main person.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it'd have a theme.
Yeah, because it's almost like the Jesse McKay set, but it's a lot of it from.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting because I watched it for the first time after seeing you at Shimmer because I bought it at Shimmer, and it's almost like the birth of Jesse McKay and a lot of stuff with you working as a heel. Now, anybody who's watched Shimmer and hasn't seen any of Jesse as a heel in PWWA, it's quality.
Yeah, it's very different, and it probably doesn't just take that much to change your character from being a babyface to being a prissy heel, but you seem to transition between them quite well. Which do you prefer playing?
See, when I'm in Shimmer, I love being babyface, just because the fans are awesome over there. You don't get fans like that in Australia, but everywhere else I like being heel. It's just so easy to get heat, and so I like that a lot.
Okay. And then the other DVD that we've got out is Last Woman Standing. Now, I love a good tournament. And
I'm sure you do.
I do. I think tournaments are great because it just encapsulates. As long as the tournament's well done, it encapsulates the story all on one show. So you can get into it knowing nothing, and then you kind of know everything by the very end as well. And this is a DVD that came out that doesn't have commentary on it, and you can still tell the story. You know what's happening. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's a really good DVD. When was that? It would have been last year. I think that was the street fight with Skater and Madison, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. I remember watching that backstage. They went all out then.
I think this is probably a good time, Stu, to bring up our sort of semi-recurring question which we use on these shows.
There was a question that for a long time we did ask a number of guests, and usually they refuse to answer on the basis that it might, incriminate them of some sort. And I'm thinking it's worthwhile bringing this question back because I'm sure you've got countless numbers. But have you got any good rate tank stories?
I do have a lot. Yeah, Skater and I get up to a lot of mischief when we're together.
No,
you're kidding me. Shut the front door.
We're really good friends, and I love it to death. I'm gonna have to pick maybe a PG story though. So just a little nice fun one. It's actually, excuse me. It's actually a bit of advice. If you're going to be around Skater, just a bit of advice: never give her a set of keys, or a room key, a car key, a front door key, anything that you're gonna need to open in the next week. Never give her any set of keys, okay? And I'll tell you why. We were staying, and this has happened on more than one occasion, but I'll just tell you one story. We were staying in Florida, and we were staying in the same hotel room, and we had one hotel room key. And we come in the door. She puts it down. I didn't know where she put it. And we had to leave in 20 minutes. So we're just getting changed and getting ready. And all of a sudden she goes, Jess, where's the room key? And I go, you put it over there. And she's like, I can't find it. I swear to God, the girl looked under the bed, under the TV, in the bed sheets, in the shower, in the toilet, under the sink. She's looking everywhere, and I'm just sitting down laughing my head off because this always happens. She always loses the key. Half an hour later, she goes back to where she first entered the room, picked up her drink bottle, and it's under the drink bottle.
This girl.
The whole time, yeah. Never give her anything. She will lose it straight away.
Oh, this girl.
Terrible.
What about, all right, we've got a PG story. Give us a non-PG story, please. We're almost begging now.
Oh, gosh.
We know you have one.
Oh, I do, but let me just try and think of no one can think of a good one.
Names can be changed to protect the innocent.
I don't know if this one's been told already.
Probably not. Go for it.
Okay. I won't say the wrestling show, but a girl offended one of Skater and I's friends, and Skater was obviously drinking.
No.
And yes, and this girl that offended one of our friends came up to Skater, and Skater cut her off and goes, Karma's a bitch, you fuck with me, you fuck with my friends, blah, 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 started ranting off. But that's all I can say about that story. I can't name the person or all, but that's all I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a little taste.
Skater yelling in people's faces? This doesn't happen.
Yeah. But the line, Karma's a bitch, is very famous.
Skater, I know you're listening to this. Stop doing weird stuff. No, I'm going to take that back. Keep doing weird stuff and make sure people can tell us about it. We will find out.
Get her to film it. That'd be better.
Seriously, if you're with her in most hotel rooms, just film it on your camera, and then
Okay.
We may somehow end up with the footage, and these things happen. Accidents happen.
Wow.
We do have a YouTube account, by the way.
Incidentally, if nothing, let's close off because I know you got to go. You got your championship match, and you got to go and win that. But before we do, final plug for the show. It's this coming Saturday, September 3rd, at the Liverpool Masonic Centre, and it's going to feature a packed roster. And as per Jesse, this is everybody in Australia and New Zealand who matter, everybody. So this includes Shimmer champion Madison Eagles, also the PWWA champion as well. Yourself, Jesse McKay, got Rate Tank, Kelly Skater, Nicole Matthews coming in from Canada. Got some Australians, some New Zealand coming in. We've got Evie, Megan, Kate and Brightney. We've got JPE also from New Zealand. Got all sorts of girls from all around Australia as well, including Sway and Shazza McKenzie, Savannah Summers, all sorts. If you can get yourself there, if you're listening to this, and we do get quite a lot of downloads from Australia, get yourself there. If you can't get there, there will be a DVD in due course, I'm sure.
We are aware, though, that Australia is a big country, so if you are driving from another part of Australia, it's probably best to set off now.
Yes.
That'd be a good idea.
This in the car.
Fly if you have to.
Well, that's another way, yes, you could do that.
Yeah, in fact, we could do that, but that's just ridiculous.
Right. Oh, dude, I've done the flight to Australia before. Seriously, it hurts. But then it's probably nothing compared to flying from Australia to America.
Oh, my gosh. It's Sydney to LA is 15 hours.
Oh.
And then from LA to Tampa, Chicago is like another 4.
I don't think I could be comfortable flying 15 hours over such a big expanse of water.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't really affect me, but I can see why you'd be scared. The big ocean.
Yeah. You're about 7 hours in. Oh, we have an emergency. Where are we? In the middle of absolutely nowhere with no land for about 100 million miles. Oh, so we're all going to die then?
Not necessarily. I'm sure there might be some islands down there. Have you ever seen Lost?
Oh yeah, because
that worked out well for everybody.
Yeah, that worked out great.
Lost is the benchmark of any kind of crashed aircraft.
Anyway,
happy flights.
Let's wrap it up. Jesse, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. Good luck next weekend in your championship match. I'm going to see if you can bring the championship back to America with you. And
hopefully.
We will see you at Shimmer then coming up at the start of October as well. Once